morning. How is everybody today? I'm Charlotte Black, and you're watching Charlotte Black Live Morning Coffee. And it is my pleasure and my honor to be here before you this morning. So, we've got some good stuff for you guys this morning. So, I'm not going to waste too much time with the intro just because I want to make sure that we have enough time to discuss all the things we're going to discuss today. Our topic is it's about health, and not just for women either. It's for men and for women. Maintaining, preventative, these things. Bringing on Dr. Philip Halstead, who's going to sit with me today, and we're going to just chop it up a little bit about things we need to talk about, things we don't want to talk about, things, we talk about too much. I don't know, all of it. So I chose this topic because, as I tell you guys, I'm always doing my own little research. And this is the thing that came to me. Like when me and my girlfriends sit around, we're always trying to figure out, how we going to get on the cutting edge, or how we going to beat it, how we going to beat the menopause for women. And, a lot of times we find that we've been misinformed, and I figured it would be good to bring a professional on, right, who deals with this from day to day. Now, this is my personal doctor, and I love him. I don't always listen to him. And I find when I don't listen to him, I'm like, wow, let me go see him. So that's just how it goes. But it is important to listen to your physician, honestly, all jokes in the corner. Because they research, they're doing this every day. We just touch and go. When something says owie, then we go see them. But, they're reading up on these type things. They're doing the research. They're staying connected. They are on the cutting edge. So it's important. So anyway, we're going to bring him on in a few minutes to, discuss some health issues and things we can do. My approach to this thing, because, my show is always about relationship in some form. And this particular show then would be about your relationship to your body. Now, a lot of times when people look at their body, they just say, it's just my body. But if you really, really, really think about it, right, your body is your vehicle, right? It is your temple. And I believe it says that in the Bible, honor your body as your temple. Don't quote me, but I know it's in there. But it is your temple because it is the vessel that enshrines your spirit and your soul. Now, I understand not everybody believes the way that I believe. Everybody got their own view. All I'm saying is there is a power, there is a force in you that exists it's dependent upon your body. You can't consciously move about the world without this body, right? This is how we're going to look at it. So in that sense, right, your body too is kind of alive. It is alive, but we don't look at it like that. And the only reason why I'm trying to break it down this way is to show the importance of your relationship to your body. We have to take care of it. We go around, we bang it up, we put all kind of foolishness in it. We do it. I've done it, right? We just look at it as kind of like this thing. I don't know. I don't think that we revere it the way that we should. At any rate, this is what made me think about this topic. We just need to be more mindful. And, to be quite honest, in 2019, I'd say people are more mindful about their health and their body than they were probably, I'd say 10 years ago. But we're going to bring Dr. Halstead on and ask him about that as well. But I think so. I know I'm certainly more mindful. And I believe as you get older, too, you start to be more mindful. Only because your body makes you mindful. You start getting these aches and cracks. And you're like, what is happening? And those things make you more mindful as well. But even as a young person, right, there are things that you can do while you're young that will prevent things from happening when you're older, if that makes sense. Preventative medicine. So that's what I have in my notes right here. Listen to your body. It speaks to you. And it's important that we that we try to connect and stay connected. So anyway, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into how we honor our body, exercise, just always being in motion, keeping it in motion. We're going to talk about fuel, which is our diet, right? How we feed our bodies. And let me just say something about that. There are a million different diets out there, a million different ones, all kinds. I think at the end of the day, you really have to listen to your body to know what it needs. That's what I think. That's my take. I think everything in moderation. I think people go to too many extremes to like slim down. But of course, we live in this microwave age where everybody wants things in 2 minutes, and that's not how it happens. It didn't take 2 minutes to put it on there. It's going to take more than 2 minutes to take it off. So I think everything in moderation, cutting out all carbs, no carbs, all meat, that can't be right. Cutting out all meat, all you eat is carbs and vegetables, that can't be right. There's got to be a balance. You've got to find a healthy balance, right? And what's a balance for me is not going to be a balance for someone else. My body may need, I don't know, a little bit of carbs, maybe a little bit of, more vegetables, but some meat. You know what I mean? Someone else may do better with more meat, a little bit of vegetables, and a little bit of carbs. So, the mixture is going to be different. But I think that's where, listening to your body, listening to your physician who does your blood work to see how your body's working, I think that's kind of where it comes in, because as you go to your physician and get your blood work done, right, and you're eating this way, I'm pretty sure they can tell, right, if what you're doing is working. They can tell in your blood levels if what you're doing is working. If it's not working, they'll be like, hey, are you eating too many carbs? Because, we see a lot of sugar in your blood, or we see a lot of this, or we see a lot of that. So again, I know I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, but sometimes if we look at it from a different perspective, it means more to us. You know what I mean? Like, we sit around all day and go, dang, I could lose about 5-10 pounds, or I really need not to get that second plate, but it tastes so good. You know what I mean? But when you look at it from a different perspective, sometimes it makes it easier for you to be like, that was good and I enjoyed it, but let me just push back. Or, let me get out here and just walk. Let me just walk the neighborhood, or whatever it is, just to, move you towards your goal, move you towards living a healthier life. Now, let me say this. Health does not just involve what you eat or things like that. It has to do with all kinds of toxins, right? Not just the kind you put in your body. It has to do with people too. Your emotional health. If you have toxic people in your life, it really can take a toll on your body, because everything is connected, right? Our emotions don't operate without effect on our body. It's all connected is what I'm saying. And so where you mind one part, you have to mind the other part. It's true. Mind, body, and spirit. Everything affects everything else. So, just keep that in mind when you are going about your day-to-day routines. You know what I mean? And when you are, when you're feeling bad, it does. Even when your body feels bad, it affects your emotions. It affects the way you deal with other people. I saw this plaque the other day. I was in the store. It said, I apologize for being mean when I was hungry. That was the most hilarious thing ever. Because I understand that. So that's just an example of how, everything is connected and one thing affects the other. But I'm not going to keep running my mouth, for real. I'm going to bring Dr. Halstead on, and we're going to just talk about all kinds of issues. Of course, my favorite issues is women's health. I always want to know about that. But we're going to talk about a little bit. We're going to let him talk about what he wants to talk about. And then if we have some people, I'm getting ready to get online. Y'all see I got my phone. It's already hooked up. Watch, I'm about to refresh it right now. Awesome. So I'm watching it right now. So if anybody has any, I think I'm on, you guys. Wait. I don't ever know how to do this. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we're going to take this break, and when we come back, we're going to get into this. And then if I see some questions posted as we're going through, then, I'll ask them, and we'll get some answers for them real time. Okay. All right. We're going to go to short commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Are you hungry yet? Come on over to Peru's Chicken, where we're cooking up mouth-watering Peruvian-style dishes like quesadillas, tacos, burritos, yuca, arroz con mariscos, camarones a la parrilla, charbroiled chicken, fresh salads, and so much more. Our friendly staff at both of our locations, Lanham at 9001 Annapolis Road in Lanham, Maryland, or Mitchellville at 12106 Central Avenue in Mitchellville, Maryland, we are ready to serve you. Just come on in. Y claro que sí, hablamos español. Peru's Chicken. ¿Tengo hambre?
All right, we're back with Dr. Philip Halstead. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Awesome. I'm happy to have you here. Now, I was supposed to write down all my questions, right?
Okay.
I ain't writing no questions down. That's just me. That's just what I do. But we want to jump off into this topic. Now, the first thing I'm interested in is women's health, only because, I'm getting older. Right? And, a lot of times when women, like, for instance, there's a young lady who sits in my office across from me. She was talking about her mother, and like, my mom is really crazy. She's all over the place. She's taking all these things, and she says it's for her health, and she's all over the place. And her mother and I think her mother may be a little bit older than me, but we're right about the same age. Mm-hmm. So I was laughing, and I said, it's probably your hormones. And she was like, but she won't go to the doctor. And I said, listen, tell her to call Dr. Philip Halstead and go see him, because he will do these blood tests. The blood work you do normally is more in depth, than when I went to like other doctors.
Right. I think particularly when we're talking about women's health and checking hormones and things, you really want to know what your starting point is.
Right.
So you have an idea of where hormone levels may be just based on a patient's symptoms. If a woman has hot flashes, chances are that her estrogen level is going to be a little low.
Okay.
If she's having trouble sleeping, it could be her progesterone is low.
Okay.
If her energy level is low or strength is low, testosterone may be low.
Okay.
So the symptoms kind of give me a kind of a first impression. But what I really need to do to find out exactly how to treat someone is to get their blood work done first.
Right.
And that way I kind of see where those levels are. And remember, blood work is always just a snapshot, so it's not that hormones stay at the same level they are on that blood test. But right. I know if a estrogen level, for example, comes back low, I know it's not going to be high tomorrow. So it's going to give me kind of pretty much a good baseline, a good parameter to know where to treat the patient, where to start treating them, and with what.
Right. And that's kind of what we did when I first came to see you. And because I was all over the place, y'all. I was tired, and I just couldn't. I didn't have any drive. It was just like normal day-to-day things seemed like a task. It was like, oh man, I can't. So it was really funny how I found out about you. Actually, I was in Ross.
Okay.
I was at, that's how I was trying to cure my symptoms. Right. Let me go shopping and make me feel better, and then I'll be able to, do what I need to do. It'll motivate me. So anyway, I was there and I was checking out. And I don't know how me and this lady, I tell you, I always say it's divine timing, how me and this lady got to talking about it. But she was like, she started saying something. I was like, yeah, I've been tired. I was like, I don't know what's happening with me. I'm like, I'm all over the place. She said, it's probably your hormones. She said, how old are you? So I told her how old I was. And she was like, I go see this doctor and he takes care of me and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, did it help you with your weight? Because at the time, right, I couldn't get my weight maintained. And she was like, it did. She said, I'd gained all this weight, couldn't figure out how to lose it. Then I went to the doctor. He gave me this medicine. We'll talk about what we use. And I started feeling better. I started slimming down. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's when I got her information and came to see you. But a lot of women try, they go to regular doctors, but they just run like just a regular blood test. Like when I came to you, I didn't get the same panel with you that I got with them. But I think that when you're running, for hormonal imbalances and things, it's a different panel.
Right, exactly. You want to know exactly what those hormone levels are. And most of the time, when most patients go to, say, their GYN doctor, the GYN doctor will start them, say, on Premarin, which is a synthetic estrogen.
Yeah.
And that's usually based on their symptoms. They're saying they're having hot flashes, they can't sleep, drenched in sweat all the time, and they just get kind of tossed on Premarin. The problem with that is twofold. One, Premarin is horse estrogen. And horse estrogen...
Don't give me nothing horse, okay? No horses. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The components of horse estrogen are the exact opposite of human estrogen. There's three components. There's estriol, estradiol, estrone, but the ratios are totally opposite. So you're actually getting something that's actually viewed as a foreign substance to the body when you get Premarin. The other problem with synthetic hormone replacement, too, is that women don't get progesterone along with the estrogen. And the reason why, when they did that Women's Health Initiative study back in the early 1990s, and they found that Premarin was increasing the risk of uterine cancer and breast cancer, the two reasons. One, it was horse estrogen, and two, women were not getting progesterone to balance their estrogen. So their progesterone level was staying in the cellar, and their estrogen level was going sky high.
Right.
So what they were actually producing was unopposed estrogen. And when you have unopposed estrogen, that increases your risk of cancer, heart disease, and all sorts of things. So you're actually worse off taking the Premarin than you are without taking it. What we do with the natural hormone replacement, what I use is something called bioidentical hormone replacement. And all these hormones come from plant-based sources, the wild yam plant. They're actually made by compounding pharmacies around different areas. There's different compounding pharmacies that actually make these hormones in the pharmacy itself, and the doses are tailored to each individual patient. But the advantage is that, one, plant-based hormones, the structure of these plant-based hormones are identical to the body, what the human body makes. The ratios of the different components of all the hormones are the exact same thing. So they're absorbed by the human body as a familiar substance, as opposed to a foreign substance like the horse estrogen. Two, we always replace estrogen. If we replace estrogen, we always replace progesterone with it, so that those levels come up together, and they produce a natural check and balance. So you never have that estrogen dominance. And we also have the other built-in safety parameter of checking blood tests on a regular basis to make sure you're not getting too much of anything, or make sure that ratio is not getting out of whack. And that makes the hormone replacement very safe.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
He's good, y'all. So tell me what a visit is like. Tell me, like, what typically do women come in complaining about health-wise? Let's talk about, and I'm speaking to a specific group right now, mostly older women, and then we're going to take a look at men.
Mm-hmm. Well, basically, women come in primarily because of hot flashes. That's always kind of like the classic symptom that women have. They also have difficulty sleeping, fatigue increases, weight gain comes about. Some women get hair loss. Some people have decreased libido. So it's kind of like this whole hodgepodge of symptoms, but they're just basically making people feel miserable.
Right, yeah.
And there's no reason to feel that way, to continue to feel that way. There are things that can be done to help that. And that's what I try to do with the hormone replacement. Okay.
Now, online, like my girlfriends and I, we always get together with thinking we finding the latest best thing. And recently, one of my girlfriends was like, we were looking at bellies. So that was saying that there is a belly that is an indicator that you're having hormonal issues. Mm-hmm. Is that like the shape of it, I guess?
I don't know so much about the shape of the belly, but the fact is when women get older, what ends up happening is there are two adrenal hormones that we check as part of the hormone panel, or two adrenal hormones that exist. We check one called DHEA.
Okay.
DHEA is an adrenal hormone. The adrenals are a little gland that sits on top of your kidney to make DHEA and cortisol. As we get older, DHEA levels tend to fall, but cortisol is actually one of the few hormones that can actually go up as you get older. And the problem with that is that cortisol is a stress hormone, and it causes weight gain around the midsection. So if a woman's DHEA level drops and cortisol stays normal or goes high, that can cause or lead to potentially fat deposition around the midsection.
Listen, y'all, we got to go get our DHEA now. Dr. Halstead told me to get it, and until he just said it right now, I was like, dang, I didn't ran out. What the world? What's the typical dosage?
Typical dosage for women, I find, is 25 milligrams per day.
Okay.
And once the patient is on all the hormones for a couple of months, we check blood work again to see what the levels are, just to make sure that 25 milligrams is enough. Make sure it's not too much.
Right.
If it's too much, you can always cut it back. If it's not enough, you increase the dose. But women, by and large, do well with about 25 milligrams per day on the DHEA.
Okay, so listen, you guys can get this. It's an you can't get this over the counter.
It's a supplement.
Yeah, so you can get this over the counter. So if you're not taking it, well, you probably should go get checked.
You should get your. That was my next point.
Yeah.
You should always make sure you get your levels checked, because anytime you start taking anything that involves hormones or levels, you always want to make sure you get a baseline. For one, to make sure you need it first of all,
right,
and two, to make sure if it is low that you have a baseline so that you can check levels down the road to make sure that the levels are progressing right.
Right. So yes, I hope you guys all got that. Make sure you go get your blood work done if you have any of these symptoms, just to check to see if there's, if everything is in balance, and if it's not, then you move from there. But don't try to just go and self-medicate.
Right. And the other thing too is make sure that you're keeping up with your GYN exams. Make sure you're getting your pap smears, your breast exams, mammograms, things like that. Because even though these hormones are very safe, you still want to make sure we know what's going on with your body in terms of your GYN health.
Right.
So let's have to make sure of that.
So is there anything else you want to say to the women about women's health before we move on to the men?
Just to note, there's alternatives out there. There's no reason to really feel bad. You just have to find a practitioner that uses natural hormone replacement, and those things actually work with your body. And whenever your hormones are back in balance, that's what makes you healthier. Ill health comes from imbalance. Something's out of balance, something's deficient, something's just not right there. And so when you raise your levels, you increase your levels, you get things back into balance, and that's where your body can flow the way it's supposed to.
Right.
And that's where you get your health.
So, get your levels checked.
Yeah. Get your
I
levels
say that all the time. Get your levels checked.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell when my levels are low. My levels are low, I got to go see my doctor. Okay, so what is the biggest thing that you see as far as men's health? As men get older, what typically is the issue they come in your office with?
Well, of course, with men, similar issues. I mean, they come in a lot of times with fatigue, but primarily for men, it's going to be checking their testosterone levels, because testosterone levels drop as they get older, and also making sure that their prostates are in good shape too, because as men get older, they run more of a risk of prostate enlargement, prostate cancer, things of that sort. Particularly in the black community, is very, very prevalent.
Yes.
Because men just don't get checked.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
They have to get those prostate levels checked. You gotta get that. So unpleasant as it may seem, you still gotta get that digital rectal exam to make sure the prostate is not enlarged, make sure it's smooth and doesn't feel like a cobblestone or bumpy, because those are signs that there could be a problem. And the thing is, if you find an issue, you find it early enough, it can be dealt with.
Right.
So that's the key. The ultimate key is prevention. Just taking care of yourself.
Right.
We talk about general things to take care of yourself across the board, but making sure that you're taking care of your health, and then that way you have less chance of having an issue. But if you do have an issue, you want to make sure you get it caught early. So that's why it's important to get checks regularly.
Right. Why do you think, Dr. Halstead, that especially in the black community, right? Why are men so opposed to going to get these exams and the things that they need? I don't think that women are as hesitant or apprehensive as men. You almost have to drag them in. They have to be almost on their last breath to come into the doctor's office. And then by that time, sometimes it's so advanced at that point, there's really nothing that you can do. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just more difficult to deal with than it would have been if they had to come before. What do you find is the reason? I mean, like, have you ever asked, why did you wait so long?
Yeah, I have asked that question, and you get different answers. I mean, I think men have kind of this idea that invincible. They have to be invincible. They have to put up this strong front and say that there's nothing wrong with them, and so that people will believe in them and trust them. So it kind of like put up this little wall here, of and sometimes men think of going to get checkups and things like that as a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of that you care about your body. And
right.
You want to be around for your family and,
right.
and friends and so forth. So you have to kind of take that away, and also you have to kind of take out the fear of it too, because I think a lot of men are just afraid of what they might find. So that's an issue too. So we try to take the sting out of it. Try to say, if you're coming in for your regular checkups, getting your screenings like you should, you're doing the right thing. You're not doing the wrong thing, and you're being proactive. You have to be proactive. You don't want to sit around and wait for things to hit you.
Right.
You have to take care of yourself, and that preventive care is critical. And it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you care about your health and you care about those around you.
Absolutely. So, you guys, it just all in all, I think that it's just really, really important that we go to the doctor, that we are seen regularly and at least annually, right?
Exactly.
An annual checkup, just to make sure that things are in balance. I mean, you don't have to wait until something hurts or something doesn't feel right.
Right.
You should just go once a year anyway, because a lot of times you can catch things before they start to hurt.
Right, and many things don't have symptoms even. So you don't even want to wait till things start to hurt. You want to make sure you're proactive, make sure you're getting those annual exams, because even if you feel fine, something could still be brewing inside. For example, a classic example is high cholesterol. There's really no symptoms for high cholesterol. You're not going to get like headaches or joint pain or anything of that sort. It's going to be there unless you actually go get checked, get your blood work done, get those tests done. You're not even going to know anything about it. So a lot of things that just don't have symptoms. You just don't feel anything, but you have to get those checked and let you know about them.
Wow. So what do you find, what are you seeing that people are coming in mostly for these days?
Mostly chronic diseases, chronic ailments. I think, the classic thing is back in, say, the 19th, 20th century, people had primarily infectious diseases. That's what was really kind of really plaguing people and making them sick and shortening their lifespan. But as technology got better and antibiotics came into the picture, the infectious disease part of things sort of dwindled, although now we're starting to see an uptick of measles and different things of that sort. But by and large, infectious diseases are not the main problem of people. The main problem is that as lifespans are lengthening, people are around longer, so they have more time to develop chronic diseases. So chronic things are becoming much more of an issue. Heart disease, arthritis, diabetes, obesity. These are all classic things that we're seeing a lot of.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a short break. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some of those chronic diseases. Diabetes is always one that we need to put on the table, especially for our community.
Right.
And some of the other things that are plaguing people today. Yeah. Okay? So we'll be back.
This is a great opportunity for you to be able to showcase your products and services. That's right. So come on and follow me. We're going to show you exactly how to get started, right? Come on. So you're gonna follow me in the elevator, right? Okay, come on. You still there, right? Okay. So we're gonna go upstairs to Suite 640. That's where it all begins with WBGR. I know all of you are watching me right now and I can't see who's looking at me, but hey, how you doing? We're going up in the elevator and we're getting ready to go into the studio. No telling what you're going to see. So we're going to go with me. It says WBGR Network. Wow, look at here. Oh my goodness. I'm really excited because I have been able to have the opportunity to be here with all of the VIPs that walks through our door. If you are really extremely interested, you are an extrovert, an introvert, it doesn't matter. If you're really interested in showcasing your products and services here in our studio, we want to hear from you. all you have to do is just simply give us a call. 301-429-WBGR. I love to showcase. Many of you have come through our doors. A lot of you have already gotten started to having your products and services. And guess what? We sold the Michelle Obama purse. Yes, we did. And I was like floored. There was someone that was able to call me up and hit me, literally, not hit me personally, but hit me up on Messenger. And she bought the Michelle Obama purse. You remember that one that we had on the shopping network? That one is gone, but we have plenty of more. All you have to do is come on over. Get your products seen on the WBGR Shopping Network.
WBGR Shopping Network. Find us on Facebook today.
Hi, everybody. I'm trying to turn this off. I'm trying to turn the sound off. Okay, so we're back with Dr. Halstead. Okay, that's not working. I'm trying to turn this off. I'm trying to turn the sound. Okay, so we're back. Okay, there we go. Sorry. All right. So, Dr. Halstead, let's talk about these chronic diseases. The biggest thing that I always hear about is diabetes.
Right.
Especially in the Black community.
Diabetes is a big problem overall, but especially in the Black community. I think it stems primarily from poor diets and excess weight. Problem is, with excess weight, you end up building up what's called insulin resistance. So your body is actually making insulin from your pancreas, a little organ on the right side of your body there that makes insulin. But the problem is that when you're overweight, that insulin cannot get to the tissues where it needs to be in order to lower your blood sugar. So your blood sugar starts to rise. And that's a big issue. So that really stems from, ultimately, from poor diets, lack of exercise, lack of hydration, and that increases the risk of diabetes. And the problem with diabetes is diabetes itself too, but the things that it can lead to as well.
Yeah. Now, I've seen, like young kids, even small statured people that have diabetes. I know that
Excessive drinking causes a lot of things, and nothing good really.
Right.
So it can affect your organs that produce these hormones that you need to have control, like insulin and so forth, and that can actually increase the risk too. But that's a good point. You don't have to be obese to develop diabetes.
Right.
It's just obesity is a major risk factor for it. But you have genetic things that run in families. That's genetic predispositions can do it. And certainly poor diets and lack of exercise can do it as well.
That exercise piece keeps coming up.
Yep.
That just means we need to get up off our couches and we need to go walk around the neighborhood. You don't have to go to the gym if you don't want to go to the gym, but just some type of movement. You've got to have some type of movement, some kind of emotion. In fact, I read that even when you're cleaning your house, you know how back in the day, they used to scrub the floors and clean the window sills, but that was a form of exercise.
Exactly. And I think that part of the problem is technology. We drive everywhere, we have everything that, we ride everything instead of actually walking or going to do things. So we actually have to work a little harder to implement exercise and activity in our daily routines. But things such as obviously, parking far away in a parking lot from the store so you can walk that way, and just walking to a local store as opposed to driving. All these things add up. It's not like little things, taking the stairs in a building instead of elevators if they're available. It's not like little things, but if you do it on a consistent basis, that adds up.
Yes.
I always tell my patients, that's why we have joints. We're built to move. We're supposed to move.
Right.
And that's really a big part of our health is movement.
Exactly. Now, I want to just speak to one thing. A lot of times, I have this conversation with people, and they're like, "Oh, we've been eating pig feet and collard greens and whatever for centuries, and we've been doing fine. We always been strong. Why should I change now?" But the difference is, at least in my mind, in those days when we were eating that, first of all, we ate what we could afford then. We're in a whole nother financial bracket these days. But during that time, aside from that, like you said, we didn't have all these technological advances. We didn't have little robots going around cleaning our floors or whatever like that. We did a lot of hard work. So we were able to burn a lot of that stuff that we put in our bodies. And we didn't have as many, I don't know, I want to say synthetic type foods.
Yes.
Or we didn't. We ate a lot. We ate off the land a lot. Like even when we had cakes, it was made from it was homemade. It didn't come in a box off a shelf in the store. Right. Our grandmothers would throw the flour together, and that's how we got the cake. So it didn't affect us the same way. And we were more active then.
Exactly.
Now we're less active, right? So our diets need to naturally change to kind of meet our activity in our world today. We can't take what we did then and just place it on top of our activity, which is, there's an imbalance is what I'm trying to say.
That's right. And that was a good point you made about the diet and the synthetic foods creeping in. We're getting a lot of GMO foods now.
Yeah.
Genetically modified organisms. If you have grapes are healthiest. The healthiest grapes, for instance, are seeded grapes. Very hard to find seeded grapes now. All grapes are seedless now. And the seedless grapes are GMO because grapes are supposed to have seeds in them.
Yep.
But with this genetically modified way of raising and producing the crops now, the seeds are taken out of them, and that makes them a lot less healthy because the seeds had what's called grapeseed extract in those seeds, and that's a very strong antioxidant, which makes the grapes very healthy. But now grapes that are seedless, they don't have those seeds in there, so it makes it much less of a strong antioxidant, which helps. Antioxidants are just substances in our food that help to fight changes in our body that can produce cancer and heart disease and different conditions.
Oh wow! See, I didn't even know that.
We don't have that. That's being taken out of our food supply by the GMOs, and it's a bad situation. It's a really bad situation.
And see, I didn't know that. Yeah. So you guys got it straight from the doctor right here. We try to buy food that is easy, that we don't have to fight with. I gotta spit the seeds out. You know what I mean?
Right.
But easy is not always best. That's what I'm gonna say. Easy is not always best. Look, spit the seeds out because it gives you more nutrition than the seedless.
You can even swallow seeds too. You can eat the seeds.
Listen. My cousins and my brother used to tell me, or it might have been my grandmother. Was that my grandmother? Everybody teasing. Somebody used to tell me when I was little, you eat the watermelon seeds, you going to grow watermelon in your stomach. You're not going to grow watermelon in your stomach, I promise. I've done it and I'm fine. I just want to put that out there. So, because there are people right now who still believe that if you eat cabbage after 7 o'clock, you are going to die. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing what kind of health beliefs people have.
I know. And this is actually a friend of mine, and I hope she's not watching. No pun intended, honey. And it was just because it was passed down, and this is how we get a lot of these habits, right? Passed down. Right. Back in the time when her mother or grandmother was, living and young or whatever, they probably saw someone die from eating cabbage, but they didn't have the type of refrigeration we have now. So, if the cabbage had been sitting and you ate it after a certain time, I could see where it might not agree with you, right? So I got that. But again, that's outdated, outmoded thinking. It doesn't match what's happening right now. The times have changed. So our minds, our beliefs have to evolve to match our times so that we can get in balance. Because that's one of the biggest gaps, I think, for us, especially our community, right? The Black community, is because, my grandmother, and we love our grandmothers. We do, right? And that's just what it is. In fact, a girlfriend of mine, I have to tell this story. She said, I don't know if she heard it or anyway, this man, he was married to this woman, and every time the holidays came and they were getting ready to make this ham, she would cut this chunk, the end of the ham. She would cut that little piece off.
Right.
And she had been doing that for years. So one day he was like, "Why do you keep cutting the end of the ham off?" And she was like, "I don't know. I've always done it. My mother's done it. This is what we do."
Right.
So when he had an opportunity to meet with her mother, and as they were getting together, he asked her, he was like, why you always cut the end of the ham off? What's the purpose of throwing that out? I mean, it looks like perfectly good meat. And the mother was like, oh, I just cut it off because it wouldn't fit in my pan. And so that's what I've been doing for years, so it would fit in this particular pan I have for ham.
Right.
So her daughter was repeating it, throwing out some good food, whatever, just because, that's what she saw. Mm-hmm. She never questioned. She just did it because that's what's always been done.
Right.
And this is what I'm saying. I'm communicating. And thank you, Diane Lundy, for that story. But this is what I'm trying to communicate to all of you, is that you have to reevaluate why we do things. Mm-hmm. And does it really serve us today? If it no longer serves us, or it doesn't make sense today, we shouldn't be doing it.
Right. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So you heard it.
Always have to question things.
Exactly.
And ask. Never hurts to ask why. It's. I think it's more of a problem not to ask why than it is to ask why.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask the questions.
Right.
No questions is a dumb question unless you don't ask it. My teacher taught me that years ago.
Right.
So what are some other things? So we talked about diabetes. We talked about cholesterol. Like, I hear a lot of people talking about high cholesterol. Mine is not high, so I don't really know much about that.
Right. Well, high cholesterol is really thought to be a major risk factor for heart disease. Part of the problem with the cholesterol is that it can lead to potentially clogging of the arteries, the lining of the arteries. It's just important to make sure that stays down, because that's a known risk factor. There are medications used for that. I primarily like to say, straighten your diet out. If you straighten your diet out with low carbohydrate, decreasing carbohydrates, and you never have to go to total extremes with your diet. I'm not a fan of extremes.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
You don't have to say, I'm not eating any carbs, I'm not eating any fat, I'm not eating any protein. No, you have to have all three of those components. You just have to have them in the right ratios, in the right amounts. So keeping your fried food to a minimum. I always encourage patients to grill things, broil things rather than fry them, because when you fry, the food actually absorbs more fat and oil, and that's not good for you. You want to definitely keep your sugar intake down, simple sugars like cakes, pies, ice cream, because carbs actually seem to be more of an issue than even fat is. It's really important to keep the carbohydrate intake reasonable. And protein, you want to make sure you're getting adequate amounts of protein. If people want to eat meat, I always suggest trying to stick with chicken, fish, and turkey. Red meat and pork are a little difficult for the body to digest. Our intestines are very long, and we're really actually more geared towards a fruit and vegetable type diet. It's not to say you can't eat animal protein, but you don't want to overdo it. And red meat and pork have a lot of hidden fat and cholesterol inside of them, so you want to kind of keep those to a minimum. Chicken, fish, and turkey tend to be a lot leaner, and as long as you don't fry them, if you grill them, bake them, broil them, then they're much healthier sources for animal protein. So that's important too. And obviously, also, we want to make sure that you keep your hydration up. That's one thing that's always kind of forgotten about.
Oh, yeah.
Is proper hydration. You want to always try to drink half your body weight in ounces every day. And when the weather gets hot like it's about to get now, you want to maybe even go up to 70 or 75% of your body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, half your body weight will be 100, so 100 ounces is kind of where you want to have as a baseline.
Okay.
When it gets hot, you might want to go to 125 ounces of water per day. A lot of times, for a lot of people, that's a big change for people, so I tell them just gradually increase the amount that you drink. You don't have to necessarily jump right up to that half your body weight, but you gotta
you want to stay true to it.
You kind of want to kind of gradually increase it up so that your body gets used to it. But it's very critical that hydration be there. You want to make sure that those cells are well hydrated, because all your chemical reactions inside of your cells take place in a water medium. And if you get dehydrated, those cells start to dehydrate and they shrivel up, and all the little chemical processes for energy production and food breakdown, they get stunted, and we don't get the proper energy that we need. We start to gain weight because we can't break our food down properly. So everything takes place in a water medium inside the body. So it's very important to drink water. It's critical.
You see, I'm looking at y'all, right? Because a lot of us, and I know a lot of people that's watching or will watch that, we try to check each other on it. Did you have some water today, girl? Yeah, I had like a glass or two. Oh my God. Well, too low. Too low. We probably could prevent half of our issues if we drank just a lot of water.
Exactly.
I think if they put a tag out on Facebook saying, drinking lots of water helps you reduce belly fat, women would lose their minds and drink a lot of water and get the intake that they need.
And
but it does prevent it from,
right.
So we got to stay hydrated. Everybody, not just women, men, all of us. We need to stay hydrated and be mindful of what we're consuming.
You have to be careful, and also the worst thing you can drink is soda, because soda is very acidic and has high sugar content. And when our bodies become acidic, we get sick, and that's nothing but acid. Soda is nothing but acid. So you want to do away with sodas. Drink that water. Even keep coffee and tea to a minimum, because anything other than water can dehydrate you.
Now,
your body.
I thought coffee was okay because if you drink it in moderation, because it's supposed to be like a stimulant. At least that's what I read.
In moderation, yes, but you don't want it to become your main beverage.
Okay.
It doesn't count, and coffee and tea don't count towards your water requirement. Your water requirement is totally separate from anything else that you drink. So you got to get that half your body weight in ounces of water. Then you could have a cup or two of tea or coffee on top of that if you want. But that water is a separate entity.
Okay, so let me just reiterate what Dr. Halstead just said. He said you do not want to make coffee your main beverage. The person I'm speaking to knows who they are. The persons I'm speaking to, you know who you are. The doctor just said it should not be your main beverage, and I'm going to leave it at that. So, somebody out there really needed to hear that, Dr. Halstead. I had to reiterate because they drink, like the big, huge of coffee all day. Like they can't function without coffee.
Right.
And I think that's what happens when you start drinking so much of it. You feel you become dependent on
exactly.
it. It's almost it's no better than like alcohol or anything else that you do too much of.
That's right.
Because too much of anything is gonna cause it, the opposite effect.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Too much of a good thing can cause a
too much of a good thing can be a bad thing.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. So there was something you said. Oh, we talked about our bodies do better with a heavier vegetable diet, and I know there's a lot of people out there, you guys, who don't like to eat vegetables and greens, but it is healthy for you, right? It helps digest,
right,
and it helps move food along and break things down. So, and I found over the years that I've really kind of moved away from meat. Like I just felt like, I just don't want it. You know what I mean? Just naturally listening to my body, I found that I just didn't. I needed less meat. And but when I do eat it, what I do, you guys, is I go out on Sunday. Me and a friend of mine, we get a bunch of meat, because he's a meat eater. I'm not. But we'll, we'll get together. We'll grill it up, grill the meat up, chicken or whatever. And, I'll send him home with his stuff, and I'll have my stuff to last me through the week, and it just works.
Right.
So that's just the way. That's the way to do that. If you are a meat eater or you find it difficult to separate from your meat, at least grill it. It's better for you.
Right.
Or baking.
Grill it, bake it, or broil it. Yeah. Just don't fry.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about diabetes. We talked about high cholesterol, right? What else do you find, if anything, that we just really need, other than the water intake, which is huge? What else do you find that,
Well, high blood pressure obviously is a big one too.
Well, there it is.
That's a biggie. That is very prevalent across the board, but particularly in the black community. But again, it's all linked to the things we talked about: diet, lack of exercise, lack of water. Lack of water causing dehydration can actually raise your blood pressure, because when you dehydrate, your blood volume decreases. In order to maintain your blood pressure, your blood vessels clamp down because it has less blood volume. The problem is it overclamps, and then that raises your blood pressure. So hydration, drinking water, can actually help to lower your blood pressure, because you'll increase your fluid volume in your body, and that will help the blood vessels to relax, and that can help to bring your blood pressure down.
Now, what do you say about emotions and high blood pressure?
Well, emotions that you can't separate them. You can't separate the emotions from physical health. They're intimately linked. And stressors that we have on our bodies, they actually cause increases in certain hormones in our bodies that actually cause vasoconstriction that can raise our blood pressure. So managing stress is critical to our health.
He said it's critical.
It is. It's critical to our health. We have to find ways to diffuse anxiety and stress. Exercise is perfect, even if it's just a simple walking program. When you walk and exercise, you release a substance in your body called endorphins, and endorphins help you to relax. They can actually help to vasodilate, to open up your blood vessels, to lower your blood pressure, and those are the types of things that we need to be trying to focus on. You have to find ways to de-stress.
Right.
And everybody's ways of de-stressing are different, but exercise I find is a great one because you get multiple benefits. You de-stress, you actually help to increase your metabolism, help you lose weight. So actually movement is critical.
Yeah. So movement, so what did we talk about? We talk about all these different things and the common preventative agents, I guess I could say. Managing your diet, get movement, getting that exercise, and making sure you manage your stress levels. I mean, when we talked about the 3 major chronic diseases, right? I think those are 3 major. Diabetes, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure. The 3 major agents that can help prevent this or bring it down or control it are all the same: diet, exercise, and managing your stress. So I don't think that I could say much more about that. We just have to do it.
Right.
We just have to do it. And again, there's many different ways to get your exercise and walking. And I think being out in nature too is good. When you're gardening, and for people who love to garden, you're getting out there and you're moving your arms. It's movement. So cleaning, people who love to clean the house and getting up above those cabinets and scrub. There's nothing wrong with taking a brush and scrubbing your floor.
Right.
I've heard somebody say, I ain't getting on my knees and scrubbing nothing. What? There's nothing wrong with it. It really isn't. It's an exercise. So I'm just saying, you guys, we have to do better. Not just for people that are entering into their middle age or later adulthood, but also for, mostly young people are already active. But there are some, because of now we got the video games, and we have a lot of kids that just sit at home like that. That's it.
Yeah, it causes childhood obesity. The rise in childhood obesity is unbelievable. And obese children become obese adults. There you have it.
And as adults, you just heard 2 stories about how things get passed down. Your kids see what you're doing, and so that's what they think is the right thing to do, and then they're going to do it. And the things that you allow them to do, if you don't correct it, I'm talking about exercise, the way they eat. Yes, baby, you can have a whole box of donuts while you play the game. No, baby, you cannot. It's just not good. It's not healthy. When my kids were young, right? Because I grew up in the age where, your parents would kick you out the house.
That's right. Lock the door.
And lock the door and be like, do not come back until X amount of time. And half the time we didn't want to come back. Right? Yeah. We wanted to be outside, right? So we would stay gone, and that's where that thing is, you better be home when the street lights come on. And you see people running top speed, oh my God, I'm going to be late. But you don't have that nowadays, right? Because kids don't leave the house. So when my kids were young, that was kind of ingrained in me. You need to be outside. You need to get that kind of exercise. It helps with your imagination, which is important as well. And so I would not buy them video games. And my kids will tell you today, they didn't get video games until we moved to an area of Phoenix. It was too hot for them to go out during the day, But they would go outside. Mom, what are we going to do? I don't know. Figure it out. You better make something up, but you out of here. And my proudest moment, I have to say this, my proudest moment was when I saw my kids outside. They had gathered up all the kids in the neighborhood, and they were playing football with a Coke bottle. Or, the plastic Coke bottles. I was so proud. I was like, oh, Look at how imaginative they are.
That's
Look
it.
at them. Look at all these kids.
Use your imagination.
That's it. And that was the end, because then all the kids kept coming over. So I had to always have popsicles or whatever, to keep
Right.
them,
Right.
water bottles or
Right.
whatever to keep them, But the point is, you guys, we have to not only do these things for ourselves, but we have to do it so that we're setting a good example for our children and those around us. Encouraging, hey, your neighbor who may not get out, hey girl, let's go walk around the block for a minute. Let's just walk around the block or run, whatever your thing is. It's important. I know there are a lot of people who are, if they're obese or to have health issues and they really can't get out like that. Is there anything that you've seen on the market that works well? Like they have these little things people put under their desk, right? And you just
pedal.
You don't even have to get up. You just pedal, but it's motion until you're able to get your energy up. Because I think the biggest thing for a lot of people is energy.
Yeah, energy is critical, because you have to have energy to get up and do things.
Right.
But the thing is, it becomes kind of a double-edged sword. People who don't have energy say that they don't want to exercise, but exercising, you actually increase your energy.
Right.
So you have to just kind of make up your mind just to get started. Once you kind of get started, then you can kind of keep moving. But yeah, the people who are having excessive kind of medical problems, health issues, there's always something that they can do.
Right.
It may not be getting out and jogging 10 laps around the track, but that's something you can do. You can try to, like you say, just do a little extra housework around, just anything that's going to give you some more movement. Park a little bit further away at the store, so you have a little bit further to walk. Maybe not all the way to the other end of the parking lot, but a little bit further, just to kind of get a little bit of walking in there that way. So there's always things you can kind of put in there,
right,
to help.
Exactly. So please, take heed to this. Send this video to anyone who, or the show to anyone who you believe can benefit from this, which is everybody. I'm just saying. We're not saying not everybody moves at the same pace,
right.
And this is important. Not everybody moves at the same pace. You don't need to judge your progress physically based on what someone else is doing. Don't try to get out there and run if you can't run. Don't do that. Do what you can do. Stay in your lane, find your own rhythm, and adhere to that. If it's good for you to just walk to the block and come back, then do that, because that's better than what you've been doing sitting on the couch. Just apply that rule. Look, if I could just do a little bit of something, it's better than doing nothing. And progress. It's all about progress. You don't have to win the race in the first day. It's just baby steps and progress. Same thing with your diets. I know I like cookies and cakes and chips and dips and all that crap too. I like it. But we kind of have to really think about the health of our bodies and try to start slowly eliminating those things so we're not so dependent upon them. Because a lot of us have become dependent on them. And it took me a long time. I didn't even know I was addicted to sugar until I tried to do a cleanse, which, by the way, is good for your body. I think if you do a cleanse once a month, I think once a month for me. But if you start off doing it once a quarter and you've never done it, it's great.
Right. Detoxing is very important. It's not only important to put the good things in, but you got to get the bad things out. Oftentimes people will detox to change of seasons. So about 4 times a year, they may do like a 3 or 5 day cleanse. You can do colon cleanses. You can get colon cleanse kits from health food stores and things of that sort. But it's always a good idea to get those toxins out, because you got to get the bad stuff out as well as put the good stuff in.
You heard it from the doctor. He said it. So, and there's a lot of ways to detox. There's all kinds of information out there on some really good detox. Mm-hmm. I normally, just try to stay away from the meat that's not so healthy, away from all fried food, no packaged food, and then I just try to stick to certain vegetables and fruits, and and lots of water, lots and lots of water, and no coffee. Right. Exactly. That coffee thing is hard. Mm-hmm. I remember first coming in your office and you said, can you reduce your coffee? I'm like, listen, I'm going to need a little bit of coffee. It's like, okay, well, let's reduce the amount that you drink. I'm like, okay, I can do that, because me with no coffee in the morning, it's going to be a problem. But eventually you could do it if you just, eventually just kind of reduce it a little by little.
Right.
Dr. Halstead, that's my time. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I
really appreciate it. Had a good time. Listen, we're going to try to start bringing Dr. Halstead back at least once a month. So if you've got questions, write them down. Send them to me. I have a website, simplycharlotteblack.com, and there is a blog box or an information box, and you can put your questions or whatever comments in there. Also, I will make sure all my information is in the description box of the show. Also, Dr. Halstead's information, especially if you live in the, MBD area. Would I say that right? Yeah, DMV. Lord have mercy. The DMV area, and have questions or whatever it is, please reach out, like, subscribe, and share. So, before I get kicked out of the room, I'm going to end the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and all your comments and all your support. I really appreciate it. Please, again, more important than me is you and making sure you get this information. So please share this on your Facebook pages or wherever you need to so that people can get the show and hear what Dr. Halstead had to say today. Okay? All right. Well, thank you, and have a great week, and I will see you again next week. All right. Bye-bye.